Hello, my dear students. Welcome to again today's my lecture, which is about using authentic materials in English teaching process. So, first of all, what are authentic materials? So, authentic materials are any materials that can be supportive and that are created for a real purpose and audience, not for teaching or listening or a language. Authentic materials refer to real life resources that can be useful in teaching process and also that are used in the target language and by native speakers. These materials can be effective and can include newspapers, magazines, books, websites, videos, any kind of articles, advertisements, social media and posters, songs and more. They provide learners with exposure to natural language use, culture, context and such kind of current topics of interest. So using authentic materials in language can be so beneficial for learners. Why? Because they can be so supportive in the learning process and such kind of situation. So and also this using the materials in teaching can lead to improve listening, reading, speaking and writing skills, as well as such kind of enhance their cultural understanding and fluency. The use of authentic materials in English foreign language classes is not new, because the teachers started using them in the 1970s as a result of the spread of the communicative linguistic teaching approach. Then these were a number of studies engaged with studying authenticity and their usage in teaching and the use of these authentic materials in English foreign language classes. For many researchers, authenticity is very significant, and because it requires the learners to participate in the language, and learners for the real world they can connect with the real world resources and situations in terms of using the target language. If teaching materials are not interesting and motivating for learners, as a result they will learn nothing, and as a result they can be boring with this situation. That's why it's so useful for their learning something. So in using an appropriate teaching materials makes learners face difficulties in learning a foreign language. Learners need to be motivated to succeed in learning any language. Therefore, teaching materials must be motivating and raise learners' interest. In order to help them, learners learn better, a lot of researchers suggested using authentic materials. So, according to such kind of researchers, who is called Marrow, he defined authentic materials as a stretch of real language produced by a real speaker or writer for a real audience and designed to carry a real message of some sort. So another researcher who is named Sweffer says that an authentic text or an authentic or oral or written is one whose primary intent is to communicate meaning. So another also researcher who is named Thompson says that an authentic text is one which is produced in order to communicate rather than to teach. The text doesn't have to be produced by a native speaker, and it might be a version of an original which has been simplified to facilitate the communication. So we know that authentic materials can be classified into several types. So if we take the one of our researchers classification, who is named Gerhard, he classified authentic materials into these categories like this, into these three categories. So the first category is authentic listening materials such as radio, news, cartoons, songs, and etc. And the next authentic materials, which is named authentic visual materials, so such as such kind of street signs, magazines, and newspapers, and pictures, postcards, and etc. And the last type of last category of authentic materials, which is called authentic printed materials, so such as sports reports, newspapers, restaurants, menus, train and tickets, and etc. So these are the main categories of authentic materials. So according to their usage, you will just how can I say, use them in our English teaching process. So another we can see that another authentic materials, and according to their usage in the language, we can say that into two types, like this text authenticity and like this learner authenticity and task authenticity, and also authenticity of the classroom. So if we talk about all of them one by one, that text authenticity refers to the audience qualities of text, and authentic text in the context of language learning means any source of how can I say, a source of information used to help learners to develop their understanding and their understanding authentic materials. And the next one is learner authenticity. It refers to the ability of learners to interpret the meaning present in the text like the native speakers do in the real world. And the next one is task authenticity. It refers to the chosen task provided for the learners to be engaged in an authentic communication and authentic aims for learning. And the next one is authenticity of the classroom. The most how can I say, important role of this classroom is to enable the learners to experience public and interpersonal sharing of content of language learning. The sharing of problems with such content and revealing of the most effective means and strategies to overcome such problems. So classification of authentic materials commonly used in language teaching like this. They can be printed materials, audio materials, visual materials, digital and such online materials, and also interactive materials, official and practical materials, and also documents, or can be authentic materials, and science and notice, and cultural artifacts and relia. So authentic materials often contain difficult language and also unneeded vocabulary and also complex language structure. So according to these difficulties in using these authentic materials, anyway they can be useful for learners. Why? Because in spite of their usage, in spite of their difficulties in reading or in using and speaking, listening, anyway students can get benefit from these difficulties language, because by reading any kind of authentic materials they can just learn something, they can just learn new vocabulary. And sometimes you may come across, or any kind of students come across unneeded vocabulary, but anyway they can learn the new vocabulary by looking up the dictionary, and also complex language structure also can be so difficult for learners, but all of them can be so useful, can be so helpful for learners in the process of language teaching. So we can see that another thing, and another contradicts situation, because we know that authentic and non-authentic materials. So what are they? So authentic and non-authentic materials, what are they, and what is the difference between them, and when and where can we use them? Like this question, can we find in between them, and can we find easily, because that above we have already mentioned about the meaning of the authentic materials and their usage in the language process. But what is non-authentic materials? So if we talk about the authentic and non-authentic materials, are two categories.
And learning, teaching and learning English. These materials play a crucial role in shaping the learning experience and helping learners acquire language skills. So authentic materials refer to items that have not done for the purpose or for design it or shape it for using them in English language teach students classrooms, such as magazines, newspaper, radios, clips, and songs lyrics. In contrast, non-authentic materials refer to anything that has been designed specifically to aid the teaching purpose, such as worksheets, texts, books, and such kind of materials, and the CDs or DVDs. They are just an example of non-authentic materials. So in total, I can say that both of them can be useful, but in my opinion, the non-authentic materials and also authentic materials can be so different between them, and they are the main part of language teaching. And if you apply this adapter, you have to follow the some strategies and their usage and their effectiveness. We have to consider all the steps of them. If we consider all the strategies of these materials, as a result, you can get the success in teaching your students. That's why try to keep both of them and try to use the authentic or non-authentic materials. Anyway, your aim should be clear, and your aim should be clear for your students for their learning process. So after that, we have such kind of question about why we have to use authentic materials, and what is the pros and cons side of authentic materials. Do we need this in teaching, or why this question can be opens problematic, some of them, but now we will see that the advantages and disadvantages of authentic materials. So if we talk about the advantages of authentic materials, first of all, they can be really motivating for the learners. Why? Because while using the authentic materials, students can take motivation for them, and students began to learn the language by using the original type of source. And the next one is interesting, topical, and relevant for your specific learners. For example, if you find any kind of topical text or any kind of relevant thing for your students for a specific learning process, you can just attract your students to the lesson easily. And the next one is empowers learners. So empowers learners, it makes them feel more autonomous. Why? Because they feel themselves as a real situation, and they can speak, or they began to sing like a native speakers. As a result, they can be independent of this process. The next one is exposes learners to how language is not, so how language should be like this, you can just expose learners' ability by these authentic materials. And then the next advantage side of these authentic materials, it may be motivating, and it can promote a deeper culture understanding. Why? Because with using the authentic materials, students can learn any cultures or any nation's culture easily. They began to get information another country's culture. They can lose their culture shock, obstacles, and cultural differences. As a result, they may be reason for be aware of this language's real culture. That's why it can be reason for this situation promotion. And the course book is how can I say, outdated and irrelevant of very dry. Yes, it's really real or true situations, that because you know that if your students will be busy with doing just the course book, as a result they began to think and they began to be boring with this course book, and they want to get something new. That's why in this point, if you use authentic materials, you can just draw your students' attention easily, and you can just throw your course book, and instead of using this course book, you can just up-to-date materials, use up-to-date materials instead of these outdated materials. So the next one, it's a very creative process, and so gives teachers professional confidence and a new leads off in the classroom. Yes, really, it may be professional confidence, it may be reason for professional confidence for teachers, and also we can feel how can I say, free during this process. Why? Because no learners or teachers learners learn something, learn the language during this process. Teacher can be okay, say supportive for them with using the authentic materials. And if this is all about these advantages of authentic materials, if we stop another side of these authentic materials, namely disadvantages of authentic materials, such as the first one is too much preparation time. It takes too much preparation time. Why? Because while using the authentic materials, you have to separate your time to find any kind of source for yourself, or to find such kind of problem. You will have some problem with finding them. That's why it may be reason for much preparation time, and also too difficult for students and demotivating it if the task inappropriate. What does it mean? You know that if your students' level is very low, and if they can't understand this process, as a result, the situation or the teaching process will be very boring for them, and as a result, they will have difficulty in understanding this language learning. That's why we have to pay attention to this feature of this using authentic materials. And also, these sources are impossible to use with low levels. This is also another side of this disadvantage side of these authentic materials, because if your student's level is very low, you have to consider their level, and if you choose the authentic materials according to their level, you can just teach your students with a high level, and you can just improve their level one by one with step by step using the authentic materials. And the next one, sometimes authentic materials how can I say, if a good example, good model for how can I say, learners, language learners. This kind of material doesn't provide a good enough model for language learners. Why? Because it may be, how can I say, materials sometimes can't provide you with a good enough, and the materials can be not appropriate to their meaning, and or they can be conflict between them. I mean that course book, and I mean that with your nation's culture, or like this, we have to follow our nation's rules. If you provide your students with extraordinary authentic materials, as a result, your students will learn another unnecessary facts about this language. That's why we have to consider this feature of these authentic materials. If you consider this feature of these authentic materials, you can just teach your students effectively. So, available restriction and lack of access to resources. So, yes, really, you will just have problem with lack of access to resources. Why? Because some of them can be expensive for us, and to sort them, when we began to sort them, we can't easily download them easily. Why? Because they can be expensive for us to download, and also if we want to use any kind of authentic topic, authentic article for reading, we have to how can I say, download, or we have to find any magazines or newspapers, and this is also lack of access to resource. Why? Because we can't get them in our country, and we have to call somebody, or we have to find these newspapers editors. Like this problem can be born in this situation. So another thing, this is all the advantage and disadvantage side of this authentic materials. If you pay attention to these types of authentic materials, any kind of teacher can teach their students effectively if we follow these strategies, follow these steps. So the next one is about selecting process. So how can we select authentic materials? How to select authentic materials? Now we will clarify about this process. So selecting authentic materials can be challenging us, because challenging that is not all how can I say, materials are suitable or relevant for all students. To select authentic materials, you should consider the following criteria. So the first one is level, the next one topic, the next one is length, format, and purpose. So if you follow this selecting process, it will be better for you. So the first one, level. If we talk about the level, we know that refers to the difficulties and complexity of the language and the content. You should choose materials that are how can I say, slightly above your students' current level, but not for difficult or interesting, and not too difficult or uninteresting for them. And topic refers to the theme or subject of the material. You should choose topics that are interesting, relevant, and appropriate for your students. And the length also should be appropriate to your language learners. It is just refers to the amount and the duration of the material. You should choose materials that are not too long or too short for your students. Attention span and time. And the last one is format. So the format refers to the type and mode of the material. You should choose formats that are accessible, engaging, and varied for your students. purpose refers to the goal and objective of the material. You should choose materials on there and that makes your students' learning outcomes and expectations. So here it is the main thing about selecting authentic materials. Then another problem in using authentic materials, the most essential part of this, that to pay attention to the designing process of these authentic materials. So what have to do in the process of authentic materials, and what have we pay attention to this authentic materials. So now let's talk about this designing process of authentic materials in teaching English. So designing tasks with authentic materials, design tasks with authentic materials can be challenging as not all tasks are effective or meaningful for all students. To design tasks with authentic materials, you should consider the following criteria: authenticity, interaction, scaffolding, and feedback. So authenticity refers to the extent to which the task indicates or which the task reflects the real use of the materials as a target language context. You should design tasks that require students to use language for a realistic and relevant purpose and audience. Interaction refers to the extent to which the task involves students in communication and collaboration with others. You should design tasks that encourage students to exchange information and approach and ideas with their classmates or other speakers of the target language. So the next step of designing task is scaffolding. So it means that which is the task provides support and guidance for students to complete the task successfully. You should design tasks that offer pre, during, and post tasks, activities that help students activate their prior knowledge, monitor their comprehension, and reflect on their performance. So the next step of designing process is feedback. So feedback, we know that refers to the extent to which the task provides feedback and correction for students to improve their language skills. You should design tasks that offer formative and summative feedback that's timely, specific, and constructive. So overall, any kind of authentic material play important role in teaching English. Their usage in learning language may lead to support effective language learning atmosphere. That's why if any kind of English teacher can use the authentic materials, they have to follow their strategies, their categories according to their such kind of pros and cons. You can just apply your students with the effective ways of learning language. That's all about today's topic, and I hope you will get something about this topic and you will enjoy them. Thanks a lot for your attention. Bye.